are now listening to Servants Experience Podcast, where we talk about anything and everything King. Now, this podcast is only catered to those that are 18 and above and may not be safe for work, or as we like to say, NSF. But remember, you can always listen to us during your private time. Hello, kinky and kinkiest folk out there. My name is Sir Ink, and on this podcast, I promised you guys, because I missed the live on Thursday night, that I would give you guys a little something in that essence. So here it goes. And what I'm doing is I'm going to react and respond to some of the questions that were asked of me through the page, through several followers. So here we go. So the first question is, what is the very first piece of advice you would give to someone who is brand new to BDSM, both dominance and submissive? Well, I know I've talked about this a lot, and specifically to each one on other podcasts, but just the updated version, the July 2023 version, is to take your time. Take your time, explore yourself in general, to both dominants and submissives. Explore yourself. Remember, it's a journey about yourself. Even if you don't have a playmate, you can still develop yourself in many ways. That's where advice, mentorship, and guidance and research will have you in. This should always be a research phase and a development phase in your self and in your relationships. And do not judge yourself off of someone else's experience or success in the lifestyle. When people come in, sometimes they're like, well, I am submissive. I would like to know more about kink, but I'm not into being tied up and having needles put through my skin level. And it's like, no. Do not judge yourself and where your starting point is, or where you are in the journey, to someone who's been in the lifestyle for over half their life. So don't put that on you. Don't put that on yourself, rather. So that's what I would say. And specifically the dominance is understanding that line between domineering and dominance, knowing how to delve out your punishments, making your expectations real. And when I say real, make your expectations not necessarily based on exactly what you want and only what you want, but understanding your submissive and her capabilities and her limitations, and basing your expectations on that. But also be clear with what your expectations are. Whereas though, if they feel like they can't really meet that, or something that goes beyond where they want to go, then they can express that, and that's fair. And the same for submissives is understanding yourself, understanding what you want. Know that you have a voice at all times. You have a voice. You can ask for a review on things. And you have input. And in any situation that you do not, even though you're handing certain power and responsibility over to your dominant, you still have a voice, you still have a choice. And if you don't, then you might have to reassess the situation that you're in. And are you in a relationship with an abuser? And at the same time, understand what your expectations are on your dominant. Now, if you're just getting into the lifestyle and you pulled your man in, and he's going to be your dominant, and he's not as knowledgeable, well, then your expectations can't be that of a seasoned vet. So just got to understand where you are completely. Understand that the lifestyle is about yourself first, and then others. And you can always practice on your skills, on your personality, and sessions and things of that, your toy collection. You can always build those things as you go. But no one has to have everything all at once. Okay, so the next question is, what would you say are your top 5 most important questions a dominant should ask when considering a submissive, and vice versa? So, the number one thing I would ask is her experience. I would want to know what's her experience in a lifestyle. If she's a newbie, if she, has, years experience in. And the reason being, where you can start with that. Like if you have a newbie, then you're gonna have to start from the ground up. You're gonna have to maybe introduce her to some information on, how the lifestyle started. Maybe you start all the way down with Marquise de Sade and then work your way up to, like the leather houses and, all the things that the LGBT community and kink community have dealt with over the years. And, also the understanding that almost out of 100% of the population, only like 5% really practice the lifestyle. So, and letting them understand how all that intertwines together. I think that would be the most important part. Then also the type of sub she is. After you get through all that, or if you meet somebody experienced, you want to know what type of sub they are. Because if they're let's say if they're a little and you're not and you're a master, I don't know, maybe those two, maybe the kind of master you are and the kind of little she is, that may not match. Maybe she's a brat and you're a sir. Maybe that doesn't match. But a brat and a daddy dime, or a little and a daddy dime, may have more in common. So it's about commonality. So I would ask what type of sub they are, or help them develop or find themselves. Help them find out who they are. That would be the responsibility of a good dominant. Her limits. You want to know what her limits are. If she's a newbie, you want to know, okay, like what things about the lifestyle scare the shit out of you, and what things about the lifestyle intrigue you, and what things of the lifestyle that you absolutely want to experience. So, I think that would be a good one, like knowing people's limits. And once you know the limits, the boundaries, then you know where you have some wiggle room. She may not be into, let's say the submissive may not be into needle play. I always bring up needle play. Maybe they're not into needle play, but maybe they're not against knife play. Maybe they're just like, look, we could do whatever, but I don't want to see any blood. I don't want no cuts. Okay, cool. And then you have some people who like a little more intrusive play. They like a little bit more deep bruising with impact and so on and so forth. So, it's to find those limitations, and knowing where the gray area is that you can maybe push some boundaries, or the ones that is hard news. And I will also say, fourth would be her aspirations of a sub. Her aspirations as a sub. Like, what does she aspire to be as a submissive? Where does she see her submission going? Like, some people's aspiration is to be an owned, collared slave. Some is to be a collared submissive, period. And some would be maybe branding, being branded and owned and having a serial number as the slave. And others may just be, I just want to explore the deeper aspects of my own submission. Without all those other things. So, you would want to know where her aspirations are. What is the submissive's aspirations? That's what I would want to know, for sure. Because I want to make sure that I'm the guy, I'm the guide that can help get her to where she wants to go. And maybe in the moment I'm not, but maybe I can develop myself in a way that helps her get there. So, you know, iron sharpens iron. And lastly, I would want to know her past traumas. I would want to know, is there any trauma in her life? Like I told you guys before in a podcast about my first submissive Nikki, she had past trauma and she liked, consent, non-consent play. And, that helped her deal with some of the past trauma with allowing her to take control over the situation by consenting to it. But so yes, I would want to know what kind of traumas they have had in the past, and how does that play out in the dynamic? How does that play into them being submissive, and how can I help her through that? Deal with it, find a way to reckon with it if she hasn't done so already. So those would be my five. And when it comes to what I think a submissive should ask, I always refer newbies to the book 62 Questions for a Dominant by Michael Mackay, which he is some will say he's a very flawed author and practitioner of BDSM, but his writings, his books are very informative and on point. I'm not trying to put him in the same vein, but just like singers who have, transgressions, like R. Kelly, for example, he has made great music, but he's a flawed man in many ways, as we all have flaws, but he has perverted flaws that deal with younger women. And so Mr. Mackay, I don't know all the details of his situation, has had some situation of transporting an underage woman across state lines or something like that. So I say all that to say that his don't judge his writings by his actions per se. Just read the information for the information. The Marquis de Sade was not he had some horrible shit. He was a genius in one aspect, but he had some horrible shit with him. So, we don't bring up a lot of his wickedness. So we try not to judge it. I try not to judge it like that. I just want to read the information, as well as if I listen to an R. Kelly song, I don't want to think about, my opinion of his actions outside of his music. At any rate, so that's what I would suggest. Go get 62 Questions for Your Dominant. It's a very good read. It's very good to help you understand what you should expect in the responsibilities of a dominant. And so the next question: slow and steady wins the race. So what would you say are some things or signs you look for when determining to take a vetting process or a relationship to the next step or level? So, yes, I believe in having patience. I believe in getting to know someone almost to the point of predictability, only because you want to know who you're dealing with. You need to know how they would react in certain situations. We're all adults. But, when you get at a certain point in your life, where I'm at, I need to know exactly what you're going to do. Like, I don't have the luxury for random behavior. I don't have time for nonsensical conversations and stress. So I need to know who you are, because I need to put you in a role so we can both perform at an optimal level for whatever goals that we're trying to achieve. I can't deal with someone that I can't predict that if I say do 1, 2, and 3, that they're going to do 1 and 3 and not 2, and the whole thing is messed up. As well as they should expect the same from me. I'm a man of my word. I'm very practical. I'm very not so much rigid, but I have a routine. Like my thing is set, and I try to honor deadlines. I definitely stay on my word, and so I don't have any randomness in my behavior when it comes to that. I love spontaneity, but not when it comes to having long-term goals and accomplishing them. You don't really have, life is already going to throw you curveballs. You don't need to be a curveball within yourself to derail that. But there are people out here in life that really, like, is what we call can't get right. They just can't get right. They have a way of destroying or derailing agendas, and that's just the way some people are. It's not. I don't really think it's personal to me as much as they just do not like to follow instructions. And they have a rebellious spirit towards anything that is structure. Even though they want to be in it, they like to take it apart. As you building it, they like to take it apart, and that deals with past trauma as well. So that's what I would. That's what I would say about vetting. That's what I would say about taking things to the next level. And the more I can trust you, and the trust comes within predictability, in my opinion. A lot of it becomes in predictability. The more I trust you, the deeper levels we can get into. But if I don't trust you, if I can't predict what you would do, if I say, hey, go to Target, get some red bed sheets, if I don't, and I need you back within an hour, if you're going to come back in 2 hours with white sheets, if I don't have the confidence that you can carry out simple tasks and stay on point, then the trust isn't there. We're going to be on a very top surface of our friendship, of our connection. We won't be able to delve deeper into deeper levels of anything. Like we really can't get past friendship if I can't trust you. So trust is big in both ways, whether you be the submissive or you're the dominant. Like trust is in a dynamic period. A lot of times when we speak of trust, it's always like the submissive trust and the dominant. But honestly, the trust goes both ways. It goes both ways. So when it comes to determining and taking a process or relationship to the next step, it's very layered for me. And you guys have heard me say, I need to know you at least 2 years before I can really make any long-term decisions of where I think we can go with this, And along that way, I'm going to treat you great. I'm going to give you all the tools to be successful, And I say 2 years, but sometimes, it can take less than that to get to know somebody. When you really connect deep with someone, it doesn't necessarily take 2 years, but I just say 2 years because you want to see a person through all the seasons. You want to see a person over a long span of time, a longer span of time, so you can see how they handling their life, how they handle their family, how they handle their business. And you don't always get that within the first few months, because people aren't necessarily divulging to you everything that they are and their flaws or their the stress points or where they fall short. Not everybody comes clean with that off the top, and I think we all know that. And so I just take my time with it, and I think time will flush out a lot of things that normally if you run in fast, when you're in there, you'll see it, and then you'll get frustrated with it, and you're trying to change someone. And I think that's bad to try to change someone. So, to avoid that kind of situation, to be able to be in something with someone that you trust and not try to change them to make them what you want them to be, because by the time you change them, you may not like them. I say take your time. So that's what my thing is. And also I look for cooperation, selflessness, confidence, and intelligence. And some people are stronger in one aspect than the other, but and I look for financially responsible. And so these are things that I look for. These are, like, for me, those are like 5 building blocks for me. The cooperation, the selflessness, the confidence, intelligence, and financially responsible. Those are like major building blocks to me far as relationships go. So that's what I have on that one. And the next question is polyamory. When do you suggest bringing up polyamory to someone you're considering dating, vetting? Have you thought of what your ideal polyamorous relationship would look like? So when it comes to polyamory, I'm certainly into polyamory. However, I have not effectively had a polyamorous situation. So I've been more in open relationships, which I believe if you're single and you're dating, you're open to relating and dating multiple people. And so I've been more so on the side of open. Poly is definitely something that I've considered, something that I definitely would like to gravitate toward, but it's not like something that I'm looking for or pursuing. Those type of things have to happen, and you're trying to join 3 or more people together, which can be challenging. So, it's not a plug and play kind of situation. You have to meet someone who is open to that. And then you have to meet someone else who is open to that. And at the same time, maybe one of the partners are also wanting to bring in someone else. So now it becomes not just 3 people, but 4 people. So you have to just, when you walk through certain doors, you have to know how wide that door swings open. And it doesn't necessarily always go your way. You have to compromise. Everyone is compromising in that situation. So you just have to be ready to negotiate and compromise. You have to try to find people who match together. And as I've said before in another podcast, polyamory, traditionally, men don't just come home with a different woman like, hey, we're going to bring her into the fold. This is it. Here's another one. She's going to be the second wife. Oh, I bought another one. She's the third wife. It normally takes place with a conversation between the man and the woman, the foundation of the polyamorous relationship with the man and a woman, or whatever your dynamic is. And you're talking about taking on a second woman in this situation. So you talk to them, look, what do you think? You're open to it, cool. Maybe she has a friend that'll be good for your dynamic, right? And not always in polyamory are all 3 people sleeping together at one time, like literally sleeping together or physically having sex sleeping together. Like, that's not always the dynamic. It's not always this orgy of sex just because you have more than one partner. These are real deal relationships. A lot of poly is not based on sex. is based on the relationships. And again, the historical aspects of it is women created polyamory as a way of having families and having a centerpiece in a man. And normally that took place with a man who had resources, enough resources to be able to take care of more than one household, more than one woman, more than one family. So those are traditional polyamory. So polyamory, yes, I'm into it. I'm very curious about it. Would like to explore it. But I have to have the right candidates to do that. And so, again, and if the situation presents itself, great. And like I said before, and it doesn't have to be a situation where everyone is having sex with one another. And I've seen polyamorous relationships, and trust me, it's straight up relationships. And you're going to deal with, if you struggle dealing with one person in a relationship, you don't want to throw someone else in that mix. It can become very toxic very fast. So be careful what you ask for. A lot of guys just want to have sex with more than one woman, and so they don't being looked at as a cheater or whatever like that. They want to bring in another woman, but then they even F that up, because then they start liking the other woman more than the other one, more than the main woman. Like, it's just a freaking mess. People are getting this shit wrong. As my last podcast, I played that young lady talking about submission, how she had it all messed up. People are just doing shit and getting it all effed up. So I just encourage people to do some research on it, do some history on polyamory. There's plenty of cultures in the world that's still practicing polyamory. I would say a lot of people in the West are getting it, and westernized cultures are not getting it correct. So if you want to do polyamory, I would say study some of the more Eastern cultures that still practice it. Some of the more Indian, Asian, not even Asian, more of the Arabic cultures. More of the Arabic Muslim cultures are still doing polyamory. Or you can study polyamory as far as, like what was taking place in like Utah with the Mormons. Some stuff is extreme, but you can get some basic tenets out of that, and understand how you should go forward and be successful within that dynamic. So that's just my my thoughts on polyamory. But what do you guys think? I would like to hear any comments that you guys will have concerning that as well. And if you're in it, I would like to hear your ups and downs and your do's and don'ts. That would be great. And so the next question is toys/novelties. What toys/novelties have you used? What are your favorite and why? Which toys/novelties are on your bucket list? So, this one is it's going to be a long-winded one here, right? So what toys/novelties have I used? Probably too many to list, but let's just go down the list of all the usual suspects. Cuffs, wrist restraints, ankle restraints, the bar that locks the ankles in and the wrist to it, so that your partner is exposed and can't move. What else? Candle wax, of course, candles. Ice, chains, a whip a little bit, but more of the crop whip. What else? Nipple clamps, suction nipple clamps. What else? I know I'm going to miss something along the lines here, but let me talk about what my favorite are. So right now, my favorite is the twin floggers that I have, the black and red ones. I love it, and I love it because, like I told you guys before, jumper rope has given me more rhythm with my floggers. So I'm just getting my routine down, and after going to that dungeon in DC and watching people practice using flogging in front of me, using different uh, floggers, different whips, different crops. It just gave me more ideas and got me to see some people who have mastered it. See how they get their rhythm, see how they get their swag on into it. So I love my floggers. I love my crop because again, I use my crop more so for teaching than I do for impact. What else? I love my cane, even though others that I use it on don't like the cane as much. So I have the long, thin one with the paracord wrapped around it. So I love that one. It's green. It's very long, and you can strike from a distance. And it also has a little tail cord to it. So when you strike, if that tip is close to somebody, that little end on it can whip around and tap, like give you a little stinging on top of that. And also too, the canes don't have to be used like striking hard. You can use it to press upon someone's body. You can take it and not like you're striking them, but placing it on them, and they might think, "Oh God, here comes, I'm going to get struck," and then they feel, "Oh." And you just put some weight on it. I like that. I like that a lot. I like collars, of course. Collars are cool because if you want them to crawl on the ground and follow you, you can do that. I found many a woman would like that. If they trust you enough, they like that kind of play. I've met some women that say, hell no, I would never put a collar around my neck and walk around like an animal. And that's cool too. So it's all about, what works for you specifically. But those are my favorite right there. And what else? Oh, I love my feather. So I don't know what to call it, but it's a feather, basically. It's a few feathers put together with a handle. And so I like that because that gives you a different effect. I also like just regular stuff like a comb that gives you different kind of sensations. I also like a fork. Yes, a fork, which I use to drag across the skin. I love the pinwheels. I have a 1 head pinwheel, a 5 head pinwheel, and I have a mini 7 head pinwheel, which is not as aggressive as the regular pinwheels, but it does give a nice little kind of sensation. Like I watch the face and it's like, ooh, but the pinwheel's like, ooh. So I love it. And those things like the pinwheels and the fork and the feather, it allows you to mix up different sensations. So sometimes you want that raking feeling, you want that pin needle feeling with the pinwheel, and then you can bring it back with the basically like a duster almost, with the feathers on it, and then you bring that to their body and make their body have different sensations. So I love that kind of stuff for edge play. Edge play is my thing. Love edge play. I love, as I told you before, I love using chains. And I love using chains. I love using chains in the summer times. I put them in the freezer, and then I'll use them. And then I like using chains in the summertime, in the winter time, because I'll heat them up in the winter. And the thing I like about chains, you can get them in different sizes. So every now and again, I'll pull my short, heavy one out. Let them feel the weight of the chain around their neck with a lock on it. A big lock. So they feel that weight. It's like, bondage for real. Like they feel that weight on them, especially when you have a blindfold. You put that weight on them and it's cold. In the summertime, it's like, oh my God, especially if you have them, so I'll have them restrained to my wall. And oh, how can I forget my cross? I love my St. Andrew's cross. Is awesome sauce. And actually, I need to get my cross back out. I put it up for a little bit, but I need to bring the cross back out. I love my cross. And in particular, I love it because it's movable, like it's collapsible, so I can take it on the road with me. Now, it is a little big and cumbersome in some ways, but if I have someone help me, it's really easy to move. Now, I have modified a little bit, put wheels on the side of it, not the actual cross piece, but the base piece, because the base piece is really thick and heavy. Of course, so it can support weight, right? You don't want someone tilting forward and falling and the whole thing falling on them or falling back. So it's very sturdy, it's very stable, but it's because of that base. So I put wheels on the base so I can move it. I can turn it to the side and really just move it. So that's really cool. But again, if I was really taking it from one location to the next, then I would need someone to, help me, take it out because it would make it easier. But so I love the cross. And the cross is awesome because you get to have a person exposed in that X kind of stature of their body with their arms all the way out to the side on a diagonal upward angle, and their legs in that outward downward angle. So it's a complete X of the person's body, and it's all exposed, and you can just do whatever you want just about. And it's good to see their reaction. It's good to hear if I'm using chains on it or if I'm using cuffs on it. It's like I love hearing the sound of the person's body hitting the wood or them moving and pulling the wood. Like you hear that wood sound as they move. It's a complete turn on, especially when you turn some music on real low, have some candles burning. I just love it. And I also love using scents when it comes to play as well. So I like peppermint, I like lemongrass, and I have different scent for different moods. So I love scents too. And a lot of when we talk about sex novelties and things of that nature, we really don't talk about scents a lot. What different scents can do for the mind and the body. Of course, peppermint is a refreshing feel. So you have just different ones. You have you have citrus smells. You'll have sage, which is more of that strong, pungent kind of scent. Sage is, but sage is great. As for clearing energy, and it's really good during sessions. Frankincense, that gives you that. If you've been to a Catholic church, it kind of gives you that kind of reminiscence of, purifying, the purification of something, and it's chalky smoke, or the rocks that you use with a piece of charcoal that you burn, and that really gets smoky and chocolatey. So you got to be careful with that. But if you use the oil in the diffuser, is really cool. It's not as it doesn't have the same effect as if you're using the charcoal with the frankincense rocks. It just doesn't give you the same oomph using frankincense and myrrh combined. But that's good for clearing energy. It's good to set a mood. And how about a mirror? How about a mirror is one of my best objects too. To stand the submissive in front of the mirror and have her recite why she's here, who's her sir, who's in charge, who's the boss, And I always like to tell subs to have a script, that you say. It could be a couple of sentences, could be a paragraph, whatever the case may be. But you want to have something that you constantly say to yourself that push you in that mindset, that submissive mindset, and not wait for to like hit this sub zone that everybody likes to talk about. You can get yourself there. So I like standing in front of the mirror and having them recite that. That helps get them in the mood. Because yes, I can stand in the mirror with them, but when you make them say it and look at themselves, it's amazing how they zone out. It's amazing how they zone out. Once they get over the nervousness, and sometimes they can smile or laugh a little bit, giggle a little bit. But once they get over that nervous energy and really get into it, you get a whole nother person sometimes. You get a whole other person sometimes. It's really nice. What else do we have here? The next question. Oh, so wait a minute. So let me finish up here. Which toys/novelties are on your bucket list? So on my bucket list is to get the kit that you can do play with fire. You get the high concentrated alcohol and you wet the pads of the stick. I call it a stick. I don't really know what the correct name for this is, but I'll find out and let you guys know. But it's almost like a huge Q-tip, let's say, right? And you douse it with alcohol and you light it, and then you use it to like go over the body. You can use rhythm, you can move it back and forth. Now what I learned at that dungeon was, of course, people have body hair, and when you're using fire, of course you're burning hair, so you can get a burning hair scent sometimes. So what I learned at this dungeon was this one guy mixed peppermint essential oil in with the alcohol. So when he when he lights it, you can smell the peppermint. So you really don't smell the burning hair. You smell the peppermint, and the peppermint scent stays on the body as well. And it's not over aggressive because again, it's highly concentrated alcohol. We're talking about 100%. So it burns, and when it burns, it evaporates. So like even if it got on your skin, it's not actually going to harm your skin. The worst it can do is burn your hair, and not even burn it like singe it, like if you just put a straight flame to it, right? So I would say fire is one, and I would like to make another contraption. I like the contraption that it looks like a triangle, but the person sits on it. Sort of remind you like a triangle, but a saddle, and it's not meant for comfort either. Sit someone on that. So I would like that, and I've been thinking about either cutting a hole in the chair and putting like the wand in it and do something like that. What my aspiration is to one day really be able to have my own dedicated room just for play. To have all my stuff in that room laid out, and now I have to go over here, go over there, pull stuff out. I want a room when I walk in, it's already laid out. Have my little contraptions and all that. Have my cross in there, and have a lot of fun. I like it when I don't have to go looking for things and things can already be laid out. And that's one of the things I like about doing a session, because when it's not spontaneous, I can prepare and have the things that I want out. And I can have, like I told you guys before, I have to switch it up. I don't like using the same thing all the time. So I like to mix things up. I like to mix the things that I use up. So having a room would just really work great for me. It really would. It would be a lot of damn fun. So that would be what I'm looking forward to and on my bucket list of things to get and to do. Here's the last question to me. Been in this lifestyle for going on 4 years with my current hubby and been married for over 6 years. Now there's other communities of people like-minded with the same desires out there? How has your platform brought people together? And what would you say is your best marketing strategy when it comes to your pages and website? Would love to hear this one. So, congratulations on being married for 6 years, first and foremost. And what a find you have when you find that you and your partner have this lifestyle in common and being able to be into it. So you're almost like 24/7 in it, unless you have maybe some kids around, so you can't really get into it then. But that's really nice. And so congratulations to you. And as for many communities, yes, there's many, many BDSM community platforms and live communities people can find on FetLife. And there's different platforms out here of people who are serious and have munches and things of that nature. My platform is more on Facebook, which I started it as a way of just sharing my writings. My first submissive encouraged me to do that, and I did. And I got up to about 1,600 followers, and I was just writing poetry and erotic thoughts and erotic stories. And about a year or so later, 50 Shades of Grey came out, and then it was this explosion of BDSM. And I went from like 1,600 followers to like 10,000 followers in like a month. So it was like boom, an explosion. It was a lot of attention. And I had others with me on the page. And one of the things that I've learned was with that explosion, you had a bunch of newbies in it, male and female, and then you had a lot of bad actors in the game. So you had people out there that just want to abuse someone, looking for someone that's like, oh, I want to be a submissive, I'll do anything for you. And they're like, okay. And they'll take them and abuse them. And I've had many a story told to me through the page. I've met several people who understood what was going on. And I had no clue about that. And for a while. And then when I found out, and then when I seen how people were coming to the page and addressing women, it became just a passion of mine to learn more about the lifestyle myself and share those experiences, as well as just coach common sense relating tactics, strategies with people. And that has been what my platform has been, and it's been working well. I've, gained some really great friendships. Again, as I told you guys before, I created King Space with two people I met on the page. We brought our talents to the table and made it happen. And, it didn't go the way we wanted it to go, but it's through my platform that I met these awesome people, really awesome alpha female and another guy who's just interested in the lifestyle, but he doesn't really practice it, but he loves it, he appreciates it, and he contributed to it. Also, I can't name all the people that have helped my page and helped me grow, not only just by posting and keeping the content going, but, actually educating me about what's going on. So my friend Valkyrie, Michelle, my friend Mark, my friend James that comes to the page. These people have been awesome. My friend SJ, these people have been awesome. And, to grow in the lifestyle with these people being sort of my backbone, being sort of my foundation is really wonderful because they're healthy people. And they speak with rational minds and just hearts. And the men, and how can I forget my man, Mr. Wolf? I would be remiss if I did not mention Mr. David Wolf, a man amongst men, and Mark, and James. And we were all in a group. I tried the group thing too, which doesn't work well for me because you find yourself babying people. People have a way of being disgruntled about this, about that, and they're the ones that really bring nothing to the table other than their presence and talking shit. Like, I get it if people are actually adding content, adding questions or conversation to what we have going on, but some people just come in just to criticize other people's thoughts, other people's energy, as far as them actually having the nerve to post something about themselves. So I didn't really like the group thing. Doesn't work for me. I like being in a group, and when I'm in a group, I like to post here and there. I like to play the background mostly. I do comment, but as far as posting, I don't try to post my own stuff in the group because I don't want to make it seem like I'm like a narcissist. Like, oh, check my stuff out. My stuff is this. So I just normally just comment on people's stuff in groups. Every now and again, I pose a question. From time to time, I will share a podcast especially if it has a guest on it that I feel like people should hear. Especially like Michelle Fegatafi. Like, she's awesome. Can't forget her either. Like, she's a very awesome woman. Puts a lot of her stuff in writing, has books, has a website, has a great platform, very open about her journey with her padrino over there. She's just really awesome and very knowledgeable. So it's great to talk to people like her. I've recently, I think about the past year or so, I have met Dr. Brisby on Instagram, and she's awesome. She teaches a lot as well. She has many books written on erotica and also just about the lifestyle. And she does like an A to Z podcast on BDSM. And so she goes through every letter and brings a word of that letter and discusses it. And it's really great. I had an opportunity to be on there as well. And I am still growing. And I throw stuff up against the wall to see what sticks, and what sticks stays and what doesn't goes away. And that's the part of the process of this. I never thought that I would be where I am now. I never thought that I would have a platform discussing this lifestyle in this way and people coming to me for advice or answers. And I'm just one of those people, if I don't know, I'm sure I know someone that does. So I will find the information for you. And I just believe that, that's just my contributions to the lifestyle. I've dealt with a lot when it comes to the page. And it's hard to really say and put visually what you really want online because of the restrictions that Facebook, Instagram, and other platforms pose. So I just deal with the changes. Sometimes I get suspended. I used to get suspended a lot. I'm up to like my 7th profile on Facebook. It's like ridiculous. And I just learned how to draw with color within the lines that they allotted. And I've tried to take what I do to other platforms so we can have more raw conversation, so we can have more raw content. But it's just hard to get people off of Facebook and Instagram. Those are just the more popular platforms and easily accessible, easy to work. And my website, the King Space site, did not have a app to it. So that kind of hurt if you had a iPhone. Now, we did have an app for Androids, but it really hurt if you didn't have an Android. So if you had an iPhone or other, you didn't have an app. So that we suffered in that way. And you make mistakes and you learn from them. But, this is my experience. And I've met several people in person, which has been it's been a pleasure. All my experiences have been great, and it's not like let's meet, have a session, like just meeting to like have coffee, to sit down and talk, and I've definitely have met hundreds of people through the years, hundreds of people, but I mean a good 30 to 40 people really stick out, of just the connections that we had, the conversations we had, me being educated and me educating others, and us collectively just working through some things. So what tomorrow will bring, I don't know. I've added the YouTube channel to have these kind of discussions. I would like to bring on more guests. It's just tough to get people in the same place right now. It's hard to get some people to want to talk about the lifestyle openly. A lot of people are shy. They're scared. They're reluctant to put even their voice out there, let alone their face. So this is where I am, and I'm sure I missed a name or two. I'm sure I've forgotten a thing or two as far as my experience, but this is it. So I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram strongly, and I will be opening up a Patreon because I'm shutting down the King Space site and the Sir Inc. site. What I've learned is, instead of paying to have my site hosted, the Sir Inc. site hosted, I could transfer everything over to Patreon, and that doesn't really look the same, but it functions the same. And actually, you might get more out of, I would get more out of Patreon because everything's already set up for me. I just plug and play. I have apparel, I have makeup. So what else has come out of this? I have an apparel line. Just right now, it's just t-shirts, hats, cigars, coffee mug, changing coffee mugs, which is really cool. One of my better products, and the Dirty Writing makeup line. So at which I need to do more advertising. I need to do something with the Dirty Writing makeup line. We kind of were. I had other people working with me with this, and then the pandemic hit, and then things changed, and everybody's off to their own, on their own ventures, making their life happen. So that it kind of fell to the back, but it's still there, it's still valid, and it's still valuable to me. So going forward, yes, I'm going to scale some things back a little bit, but I plan to post more on YouTube. I plan to try to get something done with this Dirty Writing makeup, and have more guests on so I can help other people who are new to the lifestyle and also gain more experience myself. Because like they said, there's no wise man without experience. And so I'm seeking more of that. So what do you guys think? Leave your comments below. And if you're watching this on Facebook, I want to thank you for always being there for me and supporting my page in whatever way you have, whether you've come to my page to just look, whether you've come to my page to engage, and whether you've come to my page and actually, been a voyeur, been a participant, actually been someone who's sent me content or actually put content up, and as well as someone who's patronized the page, patronized my products and things of that nature, and just all those who just encourage me to keep this thing going. So there are days where you don't lose hope, but you just feel like, man, what am I doing here? Is it worth it? Is it valuable? Are people feeling it? And when you start to feel like you want to pull away, someone always comes along and relights your flame or helps put a little wood on your fire that's low. They'll throw a log on and help that fire burn brighter again. So this is where we are. This is where I am, to say, with Sir Ink, the experience. And I look forward to many more days, months, and years out here trying to be an example and a guiding light in a dark, twisted fantasy world. So let me know what you guys think. Again, thank you all that's listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like and subscribe, please. Let's get that popping. And again, I will have a Patreon. I'll start posting links up soon on the page, on the Facebook page, and on Instagram. Do the story. And until next time, peace.